Right, there's a couple of things I'm going to be doing tonight. I'm going to get some work done now. But I do want to give a quick shout out to someone quickly first. So he might be watching, I'm not sure. So CMI Zappa, he's a viewer of the channel, but he's also created a couple of things here. A couple of little tools which are kind of handy, and he sent me some to try. So I'm going to be trying them tonight. I received them today, so I'm going to try them tonight. Yeah, so CMI Zappa, I'm going to post a link to his video. So check this out. What he's designed is a little PCB for a HDMI tester and a USB tester. So obviously he sent me these for free just to try them. I don't know what the cost. You're going to have to contact him. I may be working out something for the store, you know, so as I can sell them on the store and offer a good competitive price. He did say something about customising them with console fixed branding on it and stuff. So I'm going to be trying these out. There's a HDMI tester and a USB tester, and they light up when you plug them in as long as they're working. You know, you can test your USBs with this. It'll light up when you've got power, and if you've got data, the middle one will light up. And this one, you've got 5 volt. You've got an LED for 5 volts. You've got an LED for EDID. You've got an LED for power. And then you got the differential pairs, an LED for each differential pair as well. So I assume these light up when you've got data signals coming through. So you got the differential pairs 0, 1, 2, and then the clock lines as well. So it looks pretty handy. This video probably still would have been here without today's sponsor. But hey, it's time to show something, right? So here goes. Here at the Coder Productions, we love nothing more than to take as much money from you, the viewer, as we possibly can. Which is why we're proud to talk to you about consolefix.shop. A great place for you to spend your hard-earned cash. I mean, yeah, fair enough. You get parts and supplies that help you fix things, but you've got to give me some money in return. Nothing in life's free, and if you pay me for it, you might appreciate it more. Or not. Hey, I'm not judging. With that being said, we do have some pretty cool stuff on the shelves, including power supplies, HDMI ports, charging chips, MOSFETs, and whatever else you can think of that'll give you the illusion that you're getting a good deal. So head on over to the online store by clicking on the link in the video description, and if there's one thing I can guarantee, is that there will be a way for me to take your money. Console Fix, your friendly money grabbing YouTuber. This specific Xbox is, I think it's trace damage, so I'm expecting this to not work. I'm expecting this this HDMI tester to not work, but you know, we'll see. Let's see how good it actually is. Let's see if it works when there's trace damage. No, this isn't me testing this thing. I know it's not going to work because, as far as I'm aware, this Xbox has got trace damage. But yeah. Well, okay, so the console turns on. Let's plug in USB. Okay, this is overheating as well. This console's overheating as well. It looks like it hasn't been put back together fully, so I'm not going to leave it on too long. It looks like we've got... Yeah, it's just shut down on me. So yeah, it looks like we've got absolutely no data coming through the HDMI at all. Not sure if we're meant to get anything on this middle LED. Because it is turning on, the console's turning on. I'm not sure if this middle LED is meant to turn on at all. We've got USB, 5 volt and power, so yeah, I just thought I'd trial it tonight on the things I'm working on. Like I said, he's not paid me to work on them. All he's done is sent them me for free, and that's it. Sorry, he's not paid me to say anything specific. He just wants my opinion. But I do appreciate him sending them. I think that's my Xbox you're working on. I haven't replaced the thermal paste, also the hard drive is faulty as well as the HDMI port. Gotcha, mate. No worries. Thanks, buddy. Cool. Well, that would explain why it's not talking to the USB tester then. And also why it's ramping up the fans, and also why it's shutting down after about 30 seconds. Okay, mate. Cool. Good shit. We'll get it sorted. I've not tested on console, so it'd be interesting to see how this goes. Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, it definitely intrigued me when you reached out to me about them. So we'll see. We'll give them a try. Ooh, wrong screws. Ooh. First of all, what well, we'll look at that in a minute. But what cable is this? Right, this is a Foxconn, so it probably isn't the cable, because the Foxconn cables are pretty good. The Amphenol cables are the ones that were causing issues, but that one, as you can see, is a Foxconn, so it should be okay. So basically, with the Amphenol cables, Amphenol's the manufacturer, by the way, but with the Amphenol cables, they broke somewhere, like the actual cable broke inside, because inside this is just wires, like what, 6 wires I think it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 wires, but the wires are really thin. But I think they made them a little bit too thin, and they basically just snapped, probably because of the bend in the SATA cable. So they switched to Foxconn and they stopped having them issues. But yeah, that's probably going to need an actual hard drive, but I'll just charge parts on that. I wouldn't charge, you know, they're not expensive these days. Let's try and keep the cost down as much as we possibly can. As far as I know, this needs trace repair. It's just, I don't know where my X-clamp tool is. But then again, do I ever know where my X-clamp tool is? Oh, there it is, right next to me. Alright, let's not destroy his traces on his RAM then. Pop. Right, that needs bending back a little bit. It's a little bit out of shape. That will reshape properly when it comes back. Ah, that's why it was overheating. Alright, cool. Rightio, let's get it on. Let's have a look. What are we dealing with? Right, okay. That's probably going to have blown the encoder, to be honest. Because there's a bridge between these two, and I'm assuming that's probably going to be shorted to ground as well. I don't know how bad that goes, but it's probably blown the encoder, to be honest. We'll see. I'm going to remove the port in a second, but let's just see if this was bridged to ground. Yeah, okay, yeah, so there is a bridge to ground on there. In fact, I'm wondering, well, I'm going to remove the port quickly. I'll get rid of that completely. But I'm wondering if we've actually got a short to ground on the data line there, because it doesn't actually look bridged to ground, but if we've got a short to ground on the data line, then we've definitely got a bad encoder. So let's remove the port first and foremost. She's definitely not the worst I've seen, I will say that much. I've seen worse. Okay, there we go. Right, so that port's removed. 1, 2, 3, 4 missing traces on the data lines. Alright. So we've got not too bad. That chip's going to have to at least come off to be retinned and repositioned. This HDMI encoder, redriver, whatever the hell you want to call it. So that's going to have to be taken off to retin, but that's fine. I'll do that before I actually do the traces, just because it'll be easier. But I just want to run a few tests first. So if I put one probe on ground, no, the filters are fine. So it looks like it was just bridged to this pin here. So I'm testing the actual traces. It looks like it was just bridged to that pin. That filter's going to have to come off, so I can, well, mind you, I'll probably tin that filter without taking it off. Let's just check in. So I'm going to go into diode mode, no, sorry, resistance mode, sorry. And just check C25 and C50. So C25, this one up here, and C50, this one here. Damn it, it's way out of focus, sorry guys. My bad. So yeah, C25 and C50 are connected together. Let's just check that. Alright, we've got 5,000 ohms on C50, which is fine. So I'm going to remove this chip, re-tin it, and then just place it back down, and then I'll run these 4 traces. Right, okay. Yeah, so there's no solder on this ground pad, but the ground pad is actually used for thermal dissipation. So it does need some solder on there. So we're going to have to re-tin all of this. So that's why I took it off instead of just re-tinning it, because I didn't know whether there'd be any solder on there or not. So I took it off just because it's easier. Just gotta wait for the damn thing to beep at me. Thank you. You really don't need much solder, but you need a little bit on the ground pad. I also need more freaking flux. Right, let's clean that cap up. There we go, so that's looking a bit better. I'll drop this chip on. You need a Lewis-Rossman amount of flux on there. I really don't, because I'm running low on flux. How many different solder tips do you need? That really depends on preference. Personally, I use about 4 different tips. I use a small chisel tip. I use a small bevel tip. Occasionally I'll use a large bevel tip if I'm doing like ground holes and stuff. And I've also got my BGA tip, which I use for large BGA work, which is this one. That's like a shovel, but that's not needed for 90% of repairs. Well, 99% of repairs, but probably 3 or 4, depending on preference really, but probably 3 or 4. I'll give that a tap. I'll position it in a second. Just press down on it first and get rid of that solder, that excess solder that's on there. It doesn't seem to want to position properly. That seems a bit better. That seems better. I'm using Kester 6337. No, it might be 6040, I'm not sure. It's Kester leaded solder, 0.4mm or 0.015 inches. Right, that's lined up nicely. I will clean all of that up in a minute. Right, I'm going to sort out these EMI filters. So this is just clean up at the minute, just make sure that everything's good to go when I do actually restore them traces. That's better, that looks a little bit nicer. There you go. You know what, I'm not going to run these from the traces themselves, so I don't need to grind anything. I'm going to run the jumper wires from the EMI filters. So I'm actually going to remove this EMI filter. So this just filters out noise. The console will actually work without these on the Xbox because it's got a continuous path underneath. But it filters out noise. So I'm going to remove that for now. I'll leave that to one side. if it'll ever get off my tweezer. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is, rather than using the actual trace wire themselves and making it difficult on myself, I'm just going to run jumper wires directly from the filters. I'm not going to bridge the filters. That would be stupid. Always put the filters back and make sure they're in circuit, but I'm going to run the jumper wire from the top of the filter so as it's got a nice solid point to bond to, if that makes sense. So let me just grab my jumper wire. I'm going to use 0.1 mil for this. So I'll just solder that to there. I always like to grab these with a pair of tweezers and reinforce the wire. I need another pair of tweezers so I can shape this, because the thing is, if you look at the specs for HDMI, you'll see that the tolerance in trace length between each trace is pretty tight at 3mm. So I like to try and follow the original path whenever I can. I'm also going to strengthen this at the edge of this wire, at the edge of the trace. Beep, you bastard. Thank you. So I've got a little bit of the exposed trace at the edge, so I'm going to strengthen it there. And then I can just trim it off. There we go. And it looks more professional. That is very true, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what Sarah says, mate. Your headache seems to have gone pretty quick, Eddies. You sure you're not faking it? Antos, thank you for subbing on Prime, mate. I appreciate that. Welcome, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Alright, let's just tin this wire. So this is enamelled wire. So we have to tin it first. Chucked up so I'm not feeling too bad. Yeah, I'm just messing, mate. I hope you do feel better soon. I've never got that. Like, people say, like, and I know I've just said it because it's just a saying, but I've never got that. Oh, I hope you get better soon. No, fuck you. I want to get better now. Forget getting better soon. I want to get better now. Stuff later. Yeah, so I always try and follow the original path if I can. Because it's not so much for looks. I mean, it does look more professional, yeah, but it's more for knowing that it's going to work without issue. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate that, mate. Yeah, it's more for knowing that it's going to work better without any kind of issue, any kind of signal loss. I want to keep that signal integrity if I can. And doing it this way, I know that it's got the original integrity that it's meant to have. I don't want this coming back under warranty. I never want to see this console again once it's sent back. Not for any particular reason other than if I see it again, that's bad for the customer. Right, there we go, there's number 2. Right, here's number 3. So yeah, I know this is more time consuming doing it this way, but you know, I could theoretically just run a jumper wire and say fuck it. But I know that this isn't going to come back unless the port gets broke again, and obviously in that case then it's not my fault. But even like the way I'm doing this as well, I'm basically restoring this trace like these traces, so I know that it's gonna last. I just need to tin this jumper at the end. Probably not going to get it completely perfect, but I'll get it as near as, damn it. By the way, these traces, they don't have to come all the way back because the port sits quite far forward anyway, so they don't have to go all the way back. Right, let me just move some of this burnt flux out of the way quickly, so I can see a little bit better. But I do like to take care when doing these. Just do a better job and everyone's happy. I don't have to do a warranty and the customer don't have to end up with a console that breaks. I used to be really bad at trace repair, but a little bit of practice, you get used to it. Thanks for my morning advice, Phil. Had a few stellars. Nice, dude. Right, let's just clean this up. It's mainly this area I really want to clean up. I've sat there and took care to position those trace wires. I'm going to have to do it again as soon as I've got rid of this flux off here. So I'm trying to get rid of the flux so as I can add some conformal coating and basically secure these wires in permanently. And it'll basically be a permanent repair even if you have to change the HDMI port again. You know, as long as you don't yeet them again, whoops, like that. As long as you don't yeet them again, you'll be able to change the HDMI port without damaging the traces. So I know this isn't following the exact path, but it's as close as possible. It's definitely close. It's definitely within 3mm anyway. That's for certain. Just gotta play around with it a little bit. Just play around a little bit. Right, conformal coating time. But yeah, this will allow for future repairs if needs be. There we go, that's it. So that's nicely covered. And you can all get a suntan. Suntans for everybody. Let's have a look at that. So that should be nice and solid now. Yeah, so that's going nowhere now. When I drop a port on here now, it'll basically allow me to drop the port on without it flying anywhere. Where did I put the filter? I think that's it. Is that it? I believe it is. Yep, there we go. Cool. Right, I'll knock my airflow down so I can put this filter back on. Partially float it on. No, that didn't work. Let's just add some flux then. Just press down on it. There we go. It's got some nice solder joints on it there. Right, and now I can retin these. No. No, you do not blob. Thank you. Thank you. Right, I'll just grab some more solder. There we go. I love being so close to consolefix.shop, because at consolefix.shop they sell all the ports I need. Well, some of them. So remove the nozzle then. You wouldn't happen to have a store, would you? No, I just know someone who does. Some guy called the coder. Right, okay, I'm going to go 480 degrees Celsius. Flow this from underneath. Let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. So I normally wait for the solder to drop down like those two have. There you go. Press down on the port. Hold for a few seconds. I always wiggle the port as well, just to try and flow the solder. Sounds like a right muppet. Oh, he's a right bellend, but he's got some good stuff on there. Yeah, the guy who runs consolefix.shop, he's a right bellend, but he's got some good stock on there. Let's just give these a quick nudge. No, I'm not quite soldered, unless the traces are a little bit loose. Yeah, so some of these are not soldered, so I'm going to need to run the iron over them. That's fine. No, don't need to shoot. Make sure I press down on the pads that have got wires on them. Just drag over a few times with a blob of solder. There we go. And you see, because I've put conformal coating over it, the wires are going nowhere. Those wires are going nowhere. And if someone needs to lift this port off in the future, they can. Because, like I said, the jumper wires are underneath these filters, and at the same time, they're also underneath the conformal coating. So it's basically like the trace repair never happened. Like if you couldn't see the traces, like you'd never know, because it's not going to go anywhere even when someone lifts the port off again, unless they actually, you know, damage traces doing it, like doing the lift again. Then it's going to be repairable in the future if the port ever gets broken again, without having to redo trace repair. That's the entire point of the jumper wires, of the conformal coating, is to protect the jumper wires from falling off. I can use hot air around it, I can use soldering iron around it. Shouldn't be an issue. And then the way I'm going to test this to make sure we've actually got a connection on those traces is I'm going to use diode mode. Well, I can use continuity mode actually. I'll show you how to do it in continuity mode. So I want to make sure that we've got good contact on all of them pads. So if I just dry this IPA away. There's a little bit of excess flux, which I'll get rid of in a minute. I'll use a brush in a minute to get rid of the last bit of flux. But for now, let's go into continuity mode. And if I probe the bottom of this filter and the top of the pin, I haven't got beep mode on, damn it. Let me turn beeper back on. Yep, so as you can see, we've got continuity on the top of the pin, which means that the actual jumper wire is soldered. Same as that one. That one. And I'm only pressing really lightly so as I'm not pushing down on the pin as well. Yeah, so we've got continuity on them. That one there and that one there are ground. No bridge there. No bridge there. No short to ground. No short to ground. No short to ground. And no short to ground. Cool. So that's how I test those without wiggling the pin, because if I wiggle the pin there's a chance I can break the trace. I don't want to do that, obviously, whereas these ones I can wiggle the pin with the tweezers and make sure that they're all soldered. Yeah, there we go, good shit. Just make sure the port's clean, and also inside the port as well, because that can cause issues. So just make sure that I've got a nice clean port. And by the way, that wiggling on that is normal. That is completely and utterly normal. Don't worry about that. That's just the outer like ground point for the port, but it's completely normal. So yeah, I'll take a little bit longer to do the trace repairs, but you know what? I don't care. I'd rather take an extra 20 minutes. It's not going to cost the customer any extra, but I'd rather take an extra 20 minutes and know that I've done the job right first time, because now I know that unless this gets physically broken again, it's not going to come back. It's not going to break. It's not going to fail sometime down the line. Spend that extra time. It's not going to hurt. Yeah, you might be able to get, if you did 2 of these a day, you might be able to get 1 extra trace repair, 1 extra HDMI port job done, like in the time it takes you extra to do it neat. But who gives a shit? There's always tomorrow. You can always do that extra job tomorrow. That's the way I see it anyway. Chip looks fine, looks nicely aligned. There's enough solder on the pins. Cool. We've got no viscous paste on these, on the RAM or anything. I've got a little bit, but I haven't got a lot. I could steal some off some other boards, but I haven't got a lot at all. You know what, let's do that now. So I'm having to take this heatsink back off. There we go. Yep, that's got some viscous paste on it now, so at least the RAM and VRMs will get kept cool. Right, I'm not gonna screw this back together just yet. I'm gonna test it with this hard drive just to double check, but the customer said he thinks that he needs a new hard drive, so yeah, I'll give it a quick test, partially reassembled. But I'm probably going to need to grab a hard drive for it. It works, I'll straighten some nails out for you, Shed. Dear. Right, let's flip this thing upside down. Actually, no, let's not flip it upside down. It doesn't really need to be. Well, yeah, it does, because my cable won't reach. Sorry, it does need to be that way up. Let's just connect up the other parts. Yeah, that hard drive's dead. Yeah, I can hear the hard drive trying to spin up. It's definitely dead. But let's just see if this works. It's probably not going to work because it's not actually going to activate the HDMI signal until it detects a hard drive, which is why it shuts down after 30 minutes. 30 seconds, sorry. So, yeah, I'm going to need to put a hard drive in. I'm going to need to find one. Yeah, so I'll use I've got a brand new 1TB SSD right here. I'm going to use that just for testing, and then what I'll do is I'll find out a fully working drive tomorrow, because I haven't got my, what do you call it anyway? But I can at least reinstall the software on an SSD. Virgin Media got problems everywhere. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can at least install the SSD, install the software onto this SSD, and that way then I'll know it's working. Obviously, it's too expensive to replace, to just leave an SSD in there without it being paid for, but yeah, oh well. Right, now let's see if it works. Is it going to detect on the here now? Hey, there we go. Boom. Oh, I like that. It's all lighting up. We've got signal on D0, 1, 2 and clock. We've got EDID. We've got 5 volt and we've got power. Boom. That should be good. Oh yeah. There we go. Only took how long? I didn't buy it. I'm a YouTube baller. I'll get it for free. I want a pair of those. Let me know if you put them up in the store. Go to, I'll type it in chat, cmizapper.com. I think it's cmizapper.com. I'm not going to install the software tonight. It's tedious and it takes too long. I'd rather get on with another actual repair. So, that is working. Theoretically, that should work in 4K now. But I don't have the software on a hard drive, and I haven't got my drive to hand at the minute. My external reader to hand, so as I can partition it properly. But yeah, that seems to be working fine. Trace repair's a success. There's no discoloration on the screen, anything like that. You know, no off colours, no spots on the screen, no red dots. So it seems to be working absolutely fine. Shouldn't be an issue. And the tester says it's okay, so it must be okay. cmizapper.com for those testers. They're pretty good. Well, they seem pretty good anyway. Let's see if we're communicating with USB now, shall we? That's the wrong one. Go away. I knew that. Could have told me. Yep, there you go. It's communicating with the CPU. So that lit up green. Seems to be working good. So it's, I'm assuming that it's, yeah, it is actually every so often communicating with the CPU. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Classic USB, yeah. You get it wrong, you turn it round, you get it wrong again. Why am I unplugging that? But yeah, this will get a full test tomorrow. Testing consoles fully is boring. Obviously we're here to fix stuff. That seems to be working absolutely fine. So I'll put a normal hard drive in it tomorrow. Unless the customer wants to buy an SSD, wink wink. But no. Yeah, I'll put a normal hard drive in that tomorrow and I'll get it put back together. I'll get it fully tested, but it should be absolutely fine. Shouldn't be any reason why 4K wouldn't work on that now. Good stuff.